We're joined by our second former NHLer named Jason of the show. Start the show with Jason Demers. Jason Chimera is our closer today. Welcome to the show. How's it going, Jason?
Pretty good. I'm the cooler Jason, probably. Maybe that's what yeah.
100%. 100%. I'm starting this off. I got a fun fact. You are one of 12 Oilers to be a point per game or better in your Oilers playoff career. 2 points in 2 games. That's pretty legit. What do you remember of your 2 playoff games as an Edmonton Oiler?
Wow, that's going back a while. Yeah, I think I got in. I was a healthy scratch for the first couple, and I think I got in the last couple. So, yeah, that's pretty good point per game in the playoffs. I could use that when I tell people, I'm talking to people. So,
I left out the fact Griffin Reinhart is also on that list with 1 point.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, maybe let's back that up. Let's back
that up. This Oilers team coming down the stretch of their regular season. They're kind of locked into second place right now. And this was a question in our Monday mailbag over to Oilers Nation. I want to float it your way. Is this Oilers team better than they were last year in your eyes?
Yeah, I think so. They got a lot of better pieces. You know that they're big guy in defense there. He's playing better this year, and they're seeing those guys back there. The goaltending is they've really stepped up this year. Pickett's played really well for them too. So Skinner's really stepped up his game, and yeah, there's really no holes in their game. I think you know with Henrique being added him, I played with him a bit in Anaheim. He's a classy guy. He's a really nice guy, and he does everything really good. And yeah, there's really, I mean, as far as matchups, when he was matchup for playoffs, I'd be really scared to match up against Edmonton Oilers for sure, because they really got everything. If they really commit to their defense, like their team defense, they have a really good chance of going all the way, which is exciting.
When you're on a good team like Edmonton, and like for you when you're in Washington and everything, you're coming down the final stretch and into the playoffs, like people say it is just kind of a bit boring's maybe a wrong word, but is there a part of you that maybe shuts down a little bit before you get to the playoffs just to get ready for it again, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. A guy like me, if I shut down, I'd be a healthy scratch. So I probably had no time to get shut down. So a guy like Ovi and Backy, maybe they rest him up a bit. But for me, I had to go full bore, else I wasn't playing. So, yeah, but no, it does make sense, especially if you got a position locked up. I think guys do want to be healthy for playoffs. I think they maybe they won't finish a hit as much as they would, and because when you get into playoffs, it really takes a toll on you, and the game ramps up, and like it's 2 times physical, all that stuff. The penalties don't get called as much, so I think guys really do a better job of kind of not nailing it in, I wouldn't say, but just like really trying to take care of their bodies a little better when they're coming on to if they have a spot locked up, and if they're pretty locked in at that point. Yeah, that I wouldn't say that's the thing that we wouldn't do. That's for sure.
This is an Oilers core group now that's been to the playoffs a number of years in a row. They went to a Western Conference final. They've lost in the second round now. You went on a handful of long runs with those Capitals teams, and you ended up playing 71 playoff games in your career. Do you ever get less nervous or anything like that for the playoffs? Do you ever get used to playoff hockey a little bit, or every year does it just kind of hit you like a wave again?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, like usually I was out east, so the flowers are up, the trees are full bloom. It's and you're heading the rink with the windows down. You're playing hockey. It's pretty cool. The city's buzzing everywhere. It's kind of every game's heightened, and the best thing about the hockey, I mean, no matter what during a year, everyone's got their personal agendas, goals, assists, and play for contracts and stuff. But when you hit the playoffs, kind of all that stuff goes out the window, and that's why everything was for the win. And I think everyone, like, you see Alexander Salmon, for example, the guy doesn't block a shot his whole life, but he's throwing his body in front of you only see him blocking shots when he plays for Team Russia, but he's blocking shots in the playoffs. So yeah, it's an exciting time of year. It's just I don't know. It's just you really thrive under those conditions, I guess. I think it's just the most exciting time of year. And I think especially here when you're head of the game and people are already out drinking and partying, and right, it's hard not to get hyped up. It's hard not to get in that frame of mind that you want to just go out there. So yeah, I think the nerves are there every game. I think it's just it no matter what, it's always exciting. Like I said, I told my every team I play for, and everyone asks me, did I win a cup? I always, my biggest regret in the whole, not, I guess it's not a regret, but I have to say no. So that was the biggest thing in my career you kind of miss.
Looking back through your playoff career again, maybe a little story time. Like I said, those runs with Ovi and Backstrom in Washington. What was your top playoff moment? When you hear me ask that, what's the first game that jumps into your head in your playoff career?
I think it was Game 5 in New York. I scored a double overtime winner in overtime. That was pretty cool. That was like one of my all-time memories for sure, because people were throwing beer balls on the ice, and that was pretty fun. I mean, pretty ugly goal, but I think it was just double overtime winner, and then we won in Game 6 right after that in Washington. So that was pretty electric. That was a pretty cool moment, and that's the one thing that jumps out to me for sure.
Do you like not sleep at all that night after you score a big goal like that? Like, is your heart and adrenaline just pumping for like the next 12 hours?
Oh yeah, well you have to take a flight home, so obviously you have a couple beers on the plane and decompress a bit, because. But now the guys are drinking shakes on the plane. We used to have some beers on the plane and let loose a bit. But yeah, it was when I got home. I think my family's still up. My wife is still up. She was all pumped up, and my kids, like, they're supposed to be sleeping, but they're still up, and they're so that's yeah. I think you on all the texts and stuff. It's a I don't know. It still gives me chills because it was a pretty cool moment, and for a guy third fourth liner to score that was pretty awesome.
I want to do a wrap up with a Connor McDavid question for you. He's coming back into the lineup tonight for the Oilers after missing 3 games, and he would have made his debut and gotten going in the league right in your final few years of your career. Do you remember like the hype about McDavid coming into the league? And do you remember your first game against him? Was there any element of like, all right, how good is this kid really going to be? Then you play him and it's like, oh shit, okay, that's what we're dealing with here. Do you remember your first memories of playing against 97?
You're allowed to swear on this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like, I was a guy who used to check like guys like that. So, and like, I was like, oh, how fucking fast could this guy be? And like, I was known for my speed, and I think I was like, they're like, well, we're just mark him on the PK, and I was like, okay, like, I'll just swing with him, and away we go. And I swung with him, and he took off, and it, like, I could skate in straight line, but he was crossing over, and I'm like, holy, like this is a new level. Like, it's just like I think the hype, like, people don't realize how tough the league is and how easy he makes it look. Like, he's a unicorn. Like, he's just like a guy you're just like, holy, this is puck's like seems like it's glued to his stick and always seems to find him. It's such a hard league to score it, and I mean, it's tough to get one goal. He's scoring 2 goals, 3 goals every night, and just like doing that. It seems like he wants to score a goal here. I will score a goal. So yeah, he's just that good. And even when he came in, like, you're like, same thing with Sidney Crosby and all those guys. You're like, well, how good can this guy be? And these guys are really good. And he was no question, no exception to that. Like, he was probably he lived up to more than the hype for sure.
And just to wrap up, like, again, come playoff time for this Oilers group, we know 97 is going to produce. We know Leon Draisaitl is going to produce, but there are other things that this team needs to have checked off if they're going to go on a long run. What's the biggest X factor for the Oilers come playoff time in your mind, outside of, again, 29 and 97 doing what they do?
Yeah, you need the fringe guys to play good. You need Kane to play good. You need the old Evander Kane, the guy who's hitting everybody and causing shit, and the guy who I tried to fight every time, and he said no. So I hated playing against him. So he's got to be that guy, and you need a guy like Derek Ryan to step up. And what he said was the best. The one, I think it was an interview. He said, like, they don't realize, like, third and fourth liners take pride in their shifts. They take pride on, like, hemming people in their zone. They take pride in, like, drawing a penalty and they score on a power play. And that was a pretty good interview by him, because that was exactly what they need to do, like Fogle. Those guys, and to step up. Those guys. These are the guys that step up in playoffs and winning games, because the power plays are going to dry up, and they need guys to step up, and they're going to check McDavid and Draisaitl like crazy. So the rink shrinks in playoffs for some reason. Just like the checking gets tighter, and every moment means so much. So I think, and you get the matchups in those third and fourth lines, where I think Oilers could exploit that, because I think they got really good players on those lines, and those guys will have a huge impact on if they win a Stanley Cup or not. That's what it's going to boil down to, those guys.
Yeah, I think that's really well put. I think last year against Vegas, that was obviously an issue, is the guys lower in the lineup not coming through the same way as the guys up top. Jason, this was a lot of fun, man. We're out of time, but we appreciate you hopping on. We'll do this again during the playoffs.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me.
There you go. Former Oiler Jason Chimera, former Oiler, Blue Jacket, Capital, Islander, Duck. He is an elite puck doku answer.
Very elite.
And he was a great interview. That was a lot of fun.
And a stick golfer.
Really?
So I'm told.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.